the South Asian groundwater use also jumps the global trends. Around the world, you have large use of groundwater in agriculture in 4 or 5 regions. North China Plains is one major area. Western US, California, Texas, Nebraska, all these states, Mexico, these are other major groundwater use areas. Mediterranean region, Spain, Morocco, some of the countries in North Africa, these are another major pocket of groundwater use. And South Asia, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, this is the largest pocket of groundwater use. Now if you look at all the other regions, all of them are red or yellow. And that shows that the long-term recharge rates in these regions is very, very low. These are regions where rainfall is very low, aquifers are very good. But the groundwater use there has expanded primarily because all conditions for having vibrant agriculture are present, except availability of surface water. So a very fertile agriculture, very productive agriculture in California, for example, has come to depend on the extraction of true groundwater. That is groundwater that is deposited by millions of years of very slow recharge. India or South Asia, it jumps this trend. Eastern India, there is no other part of the world where there is plenty of surface water, where you find extensive groundwater use in agriculture. Actually, when you ask hydrogeologists or hydrologists from the West, why is there no groundwater use in Congo Basin, in Central Africa? Why should Congo Basin farmers use groundwater? Because there's so much of surface water. Then you ask them, okay, then what is it? Why do farmers in Bangladesh use so much groundwater? After farmers in Bangladesh have even more surface water than farmers in Congo or farmers in North Bihar. Why is agriculture in North Bihar and West Bengal come to depend so heavily on groundwater? So throughout the world, groundwater use tends to move inversely with overall water resource endowments. But in India or South Asia is the only region where humid areas are heavily dependent on groundwater use. In no other part of the world, you see groundwater development on as large a scale in hard rock aquifers. As you see in South India or in Central and Southern India, 65% of India is South India, is hard rock aquifers. And September there is a conference of India International Association of Hydrologists. And there is a very noted Spanish hydrogeologist was invited to chair a session, Ramon Llamas. Many people here might know him. And he basically said that this conference is on hard rock geology. And he would not like to come to this conference because in Europe, hard rock aquifers are not considered worth developing. So in Europe, there is no experience of hydrology in hard rock aquifers. So you find that India is the only country where there is such extensive groundwater development in vast hard rock areas. And therefore our groundwater problem story is so unique in socio-economic terms, in hydrogeologic terms, that the solutions of our problem have to be native. We have to be inventive. But what I find often happening is that all our current knowledge base is so strongly influenced by global experience. And global experience is nothing comparable to the problems that we are facing. And therefore we keep on advocating solutions that are not relevant. And we keep on ignoring opportunities which are unique to us. But we don't consider them valuable because nowhere else in the world you find those opportunities. And I'll come back to that point later. The key driver of the very rapid groundwater development in India are very different from groundwater use in California or in Saudi Arabia. Throughout the world, groundwater use tends to occur where all conditions for fertile agriculture obtain except surface water. There they basically develop their fossil groundwater use and irrigate their crops with that. India has a lot of rainfall and yet we have a huge groundwater use, and the main driver of that has been population density. That for the past several hundred years, India has been, or South Asia has been, along with Europe and China, has been the most heavily populated region. And the past 40, 50 years, there has been a sudden overload on this. And because of that, this happens to be a region where the largest proportion of geographic area is in the plough. In most other countries, you will find that 5, 10, 15% of the geographic area is under cultivation. But in India, you find pockets where 70, 75, 80% of the geographic area is under cultivation. And that is one major indication of the population overload. In the past 100 years, this situation has become further acute. The first graph shows the decline in the landman ratio, the average land that was available per farm household, which went down from 2.63 in 1960-61, and it has come down to 1.06 in 2003, and it is still going down. Maybe in another decade or 15 years, this curve will start moving up. But at present, the population pressure on farmland has been going up. And the immediate response, or the primary response of the peasant to this land scarcity has been to find ways of using his land over time. So there is this postage stamp size parcel of land on which a family of 5 is trying to survive, and they're trying to find every way in which they can make that small piece of land that they have work overtime, 3, 4, 5 crops in a year. And the most important aid to doing this has been a well. So the second chart shows that if you look at what has been happening, which section of Indian peasantry has been increasing its groundwater irrigated area, say between 1970-71 to 95-96. This is the agricultural census data. You find that the marginal farmer and the small farmers have grown their groundwater irrigated area 4 or 5 times as much as the large and medium farmers have done. Those who have plenty of land, they can easily survive on one good crop, kharif crop. It is those whose family has to survive on a very small piece of land. It is they who have had to take 2 or 3 crops, and they need a well for that. Which is why it is the smallest farmer which is contrary to the general impression that the groundwater economy is dominated by water lords and very rich people. That's not the case. The data doesn't show that. Most of the groundwater irrigated area that has been brought in India is basically with marginal and small farmers who are in the greatest need. So India's groundwater boom is in some respects a response to disguised unemployment in agriculture. There are large proportion of Indian peasantry who just do not have enough work after the kharif crop is over. And they are trying to find ways to get productively employed. And getting a well or getting access to groundwater is the passport to doing that. On the demand side, there are other pressures. India is growing, cities are growing, demand for high value foods, milk, vegetables, meat, livestock products is growing. And that is where there is an opportunity for small farmers to extend this little piece of land to generate more livelihoods. And the well, a groundwater well, is a very important thing. If you want to grow milk production, you need green fodder. If you want to grow alfalfa or any green fodder, it is something that needs small amount of irrigation every week. No irrigation system, no tank, no canal irrigation system will provide a farmer one small irrigation every week. You need your own captive source of irrigation, which is why in Gujarat, which is the dairy capital of India, you find that a farmer will have just 1 bigha of land, but he'll have 8 or 9 buffaloes and a tube well. Because once the tube well makes that 1 bigha equal to 5 or 6 acres of land in terms of its value converting in terms of value of land. Same with fruits and vegetables. These are crops that require very frequent irrigation, to each time very small amount of water. So there are 2 classes of crops. There are sugarcane, rice, banana, which can withstand indifferent quality of irrigation and large volume of water. There is another class of crops which require relatively little water but much more rigorous application of and frequent application of water. And these tend to be high value crops, and these have come to depend more and more on groundwater. So agriculture diversification has a very strong link with groundwater development. So how does India actually irrigate today? If you look at how India irrigates, just 20 to 22 million hectares of gross irrigated area is under surface structures. This includes all tanks of South India, all the Harpan systems in southern Bihar, all public irrigation systems, large dams and canal irrigation systems. Much more land is irrigated by electric pumps and tube wells. My estimate is that 30 to 32 million hectares of gross irrigated area is under